Howdy YouTube. Once again, it is your friendly neighborhood theophage. I have a new computer. It is a MacBook, and this is the first video that I'm going to upload to YouTube from the MacBook. It may be all messed up. You may never see this. I don't know. This is the first video I've made in a long time. I could check to see how long it's been. I'm sure it's been over a year. This one is on the claim that evil is the absence of good. And there's a name for it, a Latin name for that idea. Again, I didn't look it up. I don't know it off the top of my head. Maybe I'll put an annotation where, somewhere that gives it to you. This had come up recently in a couple of different places. I've been talking to a YouTube user by the name of Film Fan. It's actually Film Fan with some numbers after it. I could look it up and tell you what it is. His name is Nicholas. He is a panentheist, different from the normal theists, Christians, whomever that I usually talk to and have discussions with. He is a friend of another YouTuber by the name of Johannes Ratz. Johannes Ratz has a very interesting channel. I suggest you guys all go check out his stuff. I think, like most other believers and so forth that I argue with on YouTube, I think a lot of his ideas are really full of shit. When I say that, I don't mean that in a mean way, like, oh, he's a stupid guy. And no, I mean he's a good guy. He's a smart guy. But I don't think that his ideas really hold water. There was a video by NoelPlum99 recently talking about another video that Johannes made. And one of the comments, or one of the things that Jim, NoelPlum99, was commenting about in Johannes' video was the idea that evil is just the absence of good. Jim, like me, don't believe that that is an adequate definition of evil. That to say that evil is merely the absence of good, I think, is just false, and demonstrably so. Jim used an illustration of his own, the contrast between an empty universe, which, according to this idea, would be the most evil thing possible, since it would be completely absent of good, and a universe in which Hitler existed, or insert your own other doer of evil deeds there, existed, would not be as evil as a universe which was completely empty. And I thought that was a good example, and I was talking to Film Fan, Nicholas, about that, and I told him that that seemed so absurd, that this idea is obviously false. He said he didn't think that it was absurd. And we got into a kind of a discussion that ended up veering off into the idea of hell and so forth. But I ended it up with what I thought was a clearer example of why this idea is bad, why it simply isn't true. And again, the idea is that evil is just the absence of good. That evil is not a thing in and of itself. It is simply just where good is not. And believers hold to this idea because, well, for many reasons, of course, but for some of the reasons they hold to this idea is because they don't like the idea that God creates evil. That God is responsible for the evil in the world. And they say, no, human beings are responsible for the evil in the world because we have free will, because we turn away from God, and our actions, since God is good, God represents the good, if we turn away from the good, then therefore our actions are evil, because evil is the absence of good. We have an absence of God in our life, therefore it's evil. And that's why they hold on to it, because if evil is something else entirely, then you could have a situation where people could turn away from the good, and yet they still wouldn't necessarily be evil. And that is uncomfortable for their theodicies, uncomfortable for their theology, and so they say, no, that can't be the case. Here's my illustration that I gave to Nicholas. The idea is, let's say there's you and there's me, okay? In one situation, you and I, we have no interaction. I do not interact with you at all. I don't speak to you. I don't see you. You don't see me. We don't interact in any way. In a second instance, we do have interaction, but the interaction consists of me doing evil to you, harming you, causing you to suffer. Now, which situation is morally worse? Which situation would you not want more than the other? And Nicholas, he kind of hem-hawed around a bit, but he finally admitted that, yeah, it would be better to not have any interaction at all, rather than have interaction that consisted of him suffering at my hand. And then I pointed out, okay, if evil is simply the absence of good, then both of those situations ought to be the exact same level of morally evil. There should be no discrimination, no reason to pick one of those situations over the other. Because in both situations, I am giving you a complete lack of good. If I don't interact with you at all, I can't be giving you any good interactions. And if my interactions with you are constantly giving you suffering, then I'm still not giving you any good actions. The fact that you could choose, that most normal people would choose, I would rather not have any interaction with you at all, shows that evil isn't just the absence of good, because no interaction at all is the absence of good, and yet it is still not as evil as we do have interactions, but I'm causing you to suffer. And that's it. Evil is not just the absence of good. Evil is a specific type of action. I would define it as anything which causes misery, suffering, whatever. That is evil. Let me know what you think. I'd be interested in have comments, and I'm back on YouTube. I don't know how long this, it might be a year before my next video. I don't know. Please leave me comments. Talk to me on Skype. I am at Theophage1968. If you want, you know, I may never get back to you. It's really random who I talk to and who I don't, depending on who I have time for, but I'd appreciate it either way. Thanks.